Good morning. I now convene this morning's hearing entitled, "Where Have All the Patients Gone?" Examining the Psychiatric Bed Shortage. Mr. Rahim, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman Murphy, Ranking Member DeGette, and members of the subcommittee. My journey with mental illness began in 1998 during my freshman year at Harvard University. That fall, I experienced a terrifying panic attack. In that episode, I had heart palpitations, sweaty palms, and dizziness. Yet I did not know it was an anxiety-induced state. What I did know, however, was the deep terror I felt. My journey continued when I had my first manic episode. During the spring of 1999, I roamed the streets of Hempstead, New York, possessed with a prophetic delusion that I had to share with any and everyone I met. Concerned, my parents sent me to my father's homeland of Grenada to relax and be with family. However, while there, I plunged into a deep depression. I returned to Harvard that fall and struggled through the year battling anxiety and depression. In the spring of 2000, I was consumed by my second manic episode. My next 2 weeks were filled with sleepless nights and endless writing sessions. I showered less frequently and ate sporadically. During this manic episode, I experienced psychosis. I had visions of Jesus, heard cars talking, and spoke foreign languages. Upon hearing my condition, my parents rushed to pick me up from Harvard's campus. That same evening, my parents decided to take me to a psychiatric hospital in Queens. When we arrived to the emergency room, I was taken to the triage area. Over the next few hours, I was held in a curtained room in the ER. I tossed and turned and remained restless, as now I had not slept in 24 hours. My parents sat in the curtained room with me until I was admitted to the hospital later that night. Accompanied by 2 hospital aides, I was transported to the psychiatric ward in a hospital van. I walked through a dimly lit ward door and was met by approximately 6 staff members. They gave me a hospital gown, requested that I change into it, and encouraged me to relax when I noted my agitated state. They noted my agitated state. When I continued to toss, the staff stated that they were going to put straps around my arms and legs. After placing the straps, they then said they were going to give me a sedative to help me sleep. I felt a prick in my upper arm. The next morning I awoke, drowsy and unable to speak. I walked to the common room of the ward. I sat down and began to hold my breath. I received another sedative. I was hospitalized for 2 weeks. The first week is a blur due to my mental confusion and the psychiatric medication administered to me. However, I do remember some of my experiences. I interacted frequently with staff and the other patients. One staff member I felt an affinity towards and spoke with him frequently. He advised me to focus on getting better and not to come back to the hospital as so many other patients had. My psychiatrist on the ward diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, and I briefly explained that I would be on several medications. Upon my release from the hospital, I found and met a psychiatrist in Brooklyn. During my hospitalization, I accepted my illness and began my arduous road to recovery. Cannot pinpoint what triggered me to my immediate acceptance, but I'm grateful that it did not take years for me to obtain insight. Over the course of my 16-year journey with mental illness, I've simultaneously embraced my diagnosis and realized that I'm more than a label. I've embraced that I am more than medication, therapist appointments, and support groups. I've learned that I'm not bipolar, I'm Hakeem Rahim, not just one piece of my treatment regimen. At the same time, I've learned a good treatment regimen has to be accompanied by positive coping skills, diet, exercise for brain health, along with spirituality and spiritual perspective. The biggest challenge I faced to getting where I am today was openly acknowledging my mental illness. For so long, I felt a deep and personal shame for having bipolar disorder. This shame was so entrenched that I felt uncomfortable sharing my diagnosis with close friends and even family members. In 2012, I decided to speak openly and join NAMI's Inner Own Voice program. Through the Inner Own Voice program, I have shared my story with over 600 people, including individuals living with mental illness and their family members. Currently, I'm the NAMI Queens Nassau Let's Talk Mental Illness presenter. Through the Let's Talk Mental Illness program, I've shared my story and provided much needed awareness to over 5,000 high school students and middle school students at 37 schools. I see the importance in and will continue to speak up for mental health and mental illness education in schools and beyond. Millions of people in America desire to give voice to their struggles but cannot because of stigma. I'm fueled by the desire to break the silence. I'm inspired by students who want to learn about mental illness to help a friend or a struggling parent who is hurting. I'm strengthened by people who have decided to out themselves in an effort to normalize mental illness. Mental illness education and awareness is essential to combat stigma, end suffering, and normalize seeking help. I'm grateful to my parents, family, and loved ones who have supported me, and I'm also grateful for this committee for picking up this topic and as well as this panel, because I believe it's my hope that the ideas put forward today will transform the already shifting conversation around mental illness, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rahim.